So here we're looking at our labor estimate template. The reason this was built is because we would talk to customers time and time again where they would explain that they would, usually using Excel, build out an estimate for a project proposal for their customer. And to do that, they would lay out a kind of a high level work breakdown structure. They'd work out what type of person would be needing to do the work and how many hours it's going to take them. And then from there, their cost estimation spreadsheet would often bring in what that person costs, what a project manager costs per hour, and what they're going to be charged out at. And then by doing that for the whole work breakdown structure, you ended up with a total cost and then a price to actually propose to a customer. Now, that would be usually used alongside a register of or an estimate of what the materials costs would be, flights, accommodation, software, that kind of thing. And so that work would happen. And if they were fortunate enough to win the work, they would then need to transpose all that information into Smartsheet to deliver the project. And so we decided it would probably be worth building a system where they at least get to build the estimate in Smartsheet. And that's what this is. So as I was describing it, is exactly how this Smartsheet works. So you build out the phases of the project, put in some deeper structure of the work that's happening. And you can see when you change, you'll see these details here change when you move from a consultant to a lead consultant to a project manager. The cost changes. You can say, I'm going to do it a day and 4 hours, the totals change. And that is all based on a centralized sheet of costs and then a project specific list of charges so that you can choose to charge for a particular proposal, perhaps discount your fees, or perhaps you're working with a customer that can pay higher fees and you increase your rate card for that one project, but usually your costs are going to stay the same. So that's what this is about. But then the natural place this can go is to then use this exact same tracker for delivering the project as well. And so what we've got is an option for our customers in our enterprise PMO of just using this as a standalone labor estimate sheet or moving into a hybrid sheet which will handle the labor estimates as well as the delivery. And so what you can see here is all of these columns here are what you would expect to see in a typical project plan. A schedule with the duration, being able to have your dependencies or predecessors, and assigning work and having a percent allocation and completed. So that's all really normal project delivery stuff. But you can kind of slide across to here, and in the early part of the project, you can build out your whole estimate. So this is the same information that was on that previous sheet that I was showing. So as you're building out the work breakdown structure, you can say what type of person is going to be doing it. You don't need to know who it's going to be, and the estimate, and so on and so forth. What we can then do is look at the amount of time that has been allocated for a particular person and then use the cost card to start to work out, okay, so for the amount of time that's been allocated, so this person's 100% allocated for a day, what is that actually going to cost the business? And so you have a series of additional columns here that will allow you to dive into that and understand whether the amount of time that you are allocating once you've won the work and you're delivering it, the amount of time that you are allocating for particular people and resources in particular phases, whether that is matching up with what the estimate was. And that's really typical, is that a piece of work might be estimated to be 10 hours of work. The project manager will allocate 16 hours to the person doing the work, and maybe they only need 8 hours. And so what Smartsheet's able to do is give you that visibility between what you estimated, what you planned, and what you actually did. The actuals is normally done with a timekeeping system. So there's plenty of those around. We integrate with a lot. There's a large volume of timekeeping systems that we support in Smartsheet. And I would say 90% of the time, if it's a product we haven't used before, we're able to build a connector for it so that you can get your time data into Smartsheet without having to get people used to using a new timekeeping system. If you don't have a timekeeping system, we've done a lot of work with one of the timekeeping systems, Harvest, and that can be used to display all that information, capture and display it. So I've just flicked over to a different dashboard here that displays what I've just been talking about. So you can see, here's a project that hasn't started yet, but we can see for each phase of the project how much time has been allocated. And if we look down here, we can even see a bit of total budgeted cost. If we look at this one here, total budgeted cost versus the planned cost versus the actual cost. So you get to see that. We can then, you can see there's a placeholder here. We can then incorporate the concept of earned value. For those of you familiar with the concept of earned value, it's a really, really effective way to understand throughout the period of delivery whether the amount of time that you've used is lining up well with the amount of progress that you've made. So that can all be built in Smartsheet as well.